Hello, I am Jason. I am the wizard, and I am with Shannon Feather. And Shannon, you are a clinical hypnotherapist, a past life regressionist, a psychic, so many things in life. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Um, you are a clinical hypnotherapist, and you have like local clients that you see, and also like the online, right? Like the Zoom clients, or
I do. I see people in my office. I have an actual clinical hypnotherapy office in a medical building. And then I see people all over the world online, especially now with this virus and the inability to be out and around. And especially because my office is in a medical building, it's a lot safer just to stay home. So
yeah. Yeah. Have you seen like a larger like influx of like the Zoom or is that the platform that you use
I
to
Zoom and Skype
yeah.
and sometimes FaceTime, whatever is easiest for the other person. And I think what most people don't realize, it's just as effective as seeing me in my office. My sessions are an hour and a half to 2 hours. So we spend that first 30 to 45 minutes talking just like you and I are doing right now.
Mhm.
And I can see you and you can see me. And then the second portion of the session is spent doing the hypnotherapy. All I ask is that they have a headset so that they can lie down and relax and that I can see them on their webcam because I have to be able to watch their reactions and to keep, a good eye on our interaction so I know where they're at. And I have to be able to hear them. So the microphone's important.
Yeah, I think I was explaining to you earlier how how when there's a normal conversation, it's like everyone can be heard, and yet when we get into a very relaxed state or like a past life regression state, it's like our voices get really soft, and
Right.
it's
Right.
like what, and it's like as the therapist, you want to be able to pick up like all the nuances, so that you can you know direct the session in a way that's going to be most effective for the client.
Yes. And you want to keep the flow going. So I don't want to have to keep saying, can you say that louder? Can you say that louder? So
Yeah.
it just works, but it works amazingly well. And sometimes I prefer it. They're more relaxed in their own bed or in their recliner at home, and I'm more relaxed because a lot of people are nervous if they've never experienced hypnosis, and this gives them a safe place to experience it from. So
What do you tell people who are like a little bit freaked out, because of popular media and all that might show hypnosis in a bad light? There's that movie Get Out, right, where she's like
yeah,
stirring the
yeah,
cup of tea, right?
right.
And it's like, oh, that's hypnosis. I'm gonna get trapped. What do you tell people to calm them?
Well, and I know that there's good and bad in everything, but the truth is hypnosis is just a very relaxed state. And it's a state that you enter many times a day when you're driving, when you're watching a movie, when you're reading a book. And in a clinical hypnotherapy setting, the level of trance really isn't that important anyway. We're not magicians. I tell people that, our specialty is communication. We are master communicators. So we're trained to say things and do certain things in just the right way so that it sticks in your mind. And so that from the minute you leave our office or we get offline, you begin to act upon the things that I've given you. And I think that takes some of the mystery away so they understand that really it's just that focused state of concentration. In fact, I always say, close your eyes and then open them. That's what it feels like. It looks a lot more mystical than it is on television, doesn't it?
Well, in movies and all that, it's like they want to create drama, they want to create suspense and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and and of course, we have that power to access our own past memories, right? And
Yes.
without that soundtrack behind us, that is either the foreboding music or the happy music or whatever, it is about being able to be in touch with those memories, with the experiences, the feelings that are associated with those memories that can sometimes that's the thing to resolve within us, so that we're not creating blocks for ourselves. And the tools of hypnotherapy, of past life regression. Do you ever get people who come in, and they're interested in a past life regression session, but they're reticent about that?
Yes.
What do you tell them?
Well, when they're doing a past life regression, the first thing they ask, is it real? How do I know if this is real? And I always explain that you don't. In fact, most people who've had a past life regression, as you know, think they're making it up.
Yeah.
And then weirdly and ironically, but fascinatingly, you can verify a lot of things that people come up with. That's what's always amazed me about past life regression. So when you take the pressure off of them to have to perform, and all they know they have to do is follow your directions, allow themselves to relax and access their creative mind or their imagination, that things will work just wonderfully, because our minds are an amazingly powerful tool. And just by going within, by connecting with your inner self, just like I'm closing my eyes right now and cutting off that sensory perception of everything else, you can access so much information. The problem is we don't slow down long enough to do that all the time, do we?
No, no. I've found that um, to show people, what it is that they're capable of, as far as when they close their eye or they go into an altered state. It seems like the basis of meditation, of doing like a hypnosis session or a past life regression, is knowing what it is that you're picking up. And if people expect the full 3D IMAX vision within themselves, that full experience, they may be asking a lot. I'll do like these sessions where I'll have people close their eyes and get into a relaxed state, and then I'll ask them to see something, or to hear something like a favorite song, or to imagine that you've bit into a lemon slice, right? So that people can see what part of their own senses like get activated, and what they can actually feel, that they can imagine. And some people, they're very much not in a place of seeing anything visually, even if it's something simple like a color.
Right.
um but they can hear things. They can like, that part is really open,
Right.
or they can just like have this deep inner knowing.
Right.
And sometimes when someone kind of knows where their go-to place is, their default way of experiencing their memories and all, then they don't put so much pressure on themselves to want that full experience, and feel like they've been like cheated afterwards, saying, I didn't see anything, but I felt like everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why that pre-talk is so important, what we call a pre-talk, explaining hypnosis to them, what it really is, how it works, what it's going to feel like, what they may or may not hear, feel, or know,
Yeah.
that it's all okay, and that it is just a relaxed state. You have to remove that mystery. And one, that releases the anxiety when they're coming into your office or wanting to see you online. And two, then they don't leave thinking, wow, that didn't do anything for me. I heard and felt that all. Because they have that belief that we're going to send them off to another planet. And when they come back, everything's going to be all fixed and everything's going to be rearranged in their mind.
I have had those that go off onto another planet.
I have
And
to go wherever they want to go. It's up to them. It's their mind. But
yeah, and then they come back and say, God, how does that relate? And it's like, hey, it's like not everyone does that.
no,
And I find that that the vast majority of regressions are pretty like mundane lives, right? As far as there's I haven't encountered any Cleopatras, or
no.
anything that was just super like ingrained in
And you won't, because I was
history,
Cleopatra in my past life. So here you go.
right?
No,
That's a good joke, unless of course it's not a joke.
no,
And then it's like, okay.
no. You're right. But it's about the lessons in the life that they live, and the reason those memories are held on to whatever they need to learn in this lifetime. I haven't met anybody famous either. So.
I'm convinced that civilization has been built on the backbone of just very kind of solid people who, maybe didn't have a lot of aspirations in life. It's like they stayed in one place, they raised a family. They didn't like have a lot of big dramas, high dramas in their life. And it, it, that energy can help us, like in a situation like today, or this time, we're in this quarantine, this lockdown, of
Right.
just kind of staying calm, just doing your daily work, your routine. um and where one doesn't have to be like that shooting star, that lifetime that has just a lot of attraction to it, the famous lifetime.
I've had some really interesting past life regressions. Probably the reason I believe in it the most is I had an 8-year-old little girl one time who came into me just for some hypnosis.
Hmm.
And I don't remember exactly what was going on. I think she was stressed, having a hard time in school. I don't remember the specific reason her parents brought her to me. Past life regression wasn't even brought up. It's not something that I bring up unless somebody comes to me, excuse me, with that specifically. Um, she, all on her own, went into a state, a past life memory, where she was part of a tribe. And I don't want to say Native American, and I still have it recorded, but it's very fascinating. Almost like, I don't want to say caveman either, some sort of primitive tribe.
Hmm.
And only the boys and the men were allowed to be hunters and gatherers. And she was very jealous of that because she wanted to learn to hunt. And so she went into this really long, uh, very detailed memory of how she had snuck out with the boys one night and made herself look like some of the tribe boys because she wanted to go hunting so badly, and how she'd gotten hurt and that had ended her life. And this came out of, this was an 8-year-old child explaining all this to me. And I think when the session was over, my jaw was on the floor because the details were so specific for that period in time, and just the memories she had, the weapons they used, and how she was treated and what she wore and how they covered themselves in mud. And I think that's when I really became even more fascinated with past life regression. How about you? What's one of your coolest stories?
um that's a good question. Like uh I haven't compiled like a lot of them for that aspect of like the retelling of them per se. It's th- that again, I'm fascinated by kind of the group regressions that that I will facilitate, where you can have like 30 people in a room, and I see where uh, the vast majority of people, they will go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And it's all at varying levels. You have like the people that just experience the smells and the feel, the feelings, the tastes, the sights, just all five senses are just activated through it, and they just get the whole experience. And then there are some that don't get anything. It's like they start to open a door, and because they're not ready for that door to open, they stop themselves, they hold back. And um the range of experience where it's it, from something that can be a traumatic experience that they can see where it has blocked them in their current life, to the areas that are areas of interest. Something that's like, there was a person who saw them as a therapist, or a clinical, like back in the 1800s or early 1900s, where being a therapist, like, that was opening up for them. That was like an area of interest, and it was like it's led them to like a deeper involvement in that, in this current life. So these talents, where you can see the genesis of those raise up. And so, haven't like cataloged, like, the really cool stuff. I know for myself, all right, and I feel okay, talking about like my own experience in it, where I have a whole like bookshelf filled with books about the Civil War. And I have like uh snippets, not the full like experience, but just snippets of me being a Union soldier, being very young, being in trenches, and also dying.
Mhm.
And that being kind of like a kind of an odd, it's like there's a real connection there as far as that time period. And when I read about it, it's like I'm there, and a part of me, has been there.
Mhm.
So that's like been really, you know kind of validating for me on a personal level with it.
Right. I think that we're in a really good place now to talk about past life regression. I know that a lot of times people are resistant to it, especially in the United States, North America, because a lot of uh, certain Christian beliefs don't believe in past lives. In fact, when I went to school for Chinese medicine, I thought I was the only person who believed in this. And I asked everyone in the room who believes that, we're in past lives, or that we are born again. And everybody raised their hand, and I about fell over because it absolutely opposed every belief uh, that had ever been instilled within me. Reincarnation was the word I couldn't spit out there for a second.
Yeah.
And what most people don't realize who look outside of the box of mainstream Christianity is that 80% of other philosophies, theologies, religions believe and have proof, and it's just a normal part of their system that we are reincarnated over and over again, um, though it's rare to us. I do think because of things that are coming out now more on television, media always kind of primes the way for things that are coming to the forefront,
Sure.
greases the skids a little bit. People are becoming more and more aware of reincarnation and have an interest in it. And I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating topic. It was one of the first things I ever studied, uh, getting into hypnotherapy, and it's one of the reasons I got interested in hypnosis in the first place.
It certainly takes it to a deeper level. If as a hypnotherapist, if you're looking for a cause for, someone's like either blockages or anxieties, fears, if you're not finding it in this life, and then, someone is able to access memories that pinpoint where there was the start of the trauma and all that created the effects. It's like, it's a starting point, and it is like therapeutic for someone to then acknowledge it and then look to change it up
Right.
to start
And not
spinning.
not just the issues we have, Jason, but relationships that come into our lives sometimes. Everybody we meet, I think, is important. We talked about that a little while ago, that everybody that crosses our path plays some purpose in a
Yeah.
small way or a big way. But then there are those people that come into our lives out of nowhere, and people want to know why, when they have such profound impact or change on them, or a chemistry. Maybe it's a mate, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a best friend, or a mentor. Who knows what it is? Uh, but it's fascinating to find out and understand who really is in your soul circle too.
Hmm.
And we're born into one family, but I believe we have a much more extended spiritual family than that.
Yeah.
And those relationships are important. Sometimes those can be the most painful when they end too. But then again, there's the whys. Why are these things happening? So I think it's fascinating all around.
The term that gets bandied about a lot is the term soulmate, right? And if we look at soulmates as people that we are connected to on like this soul level, and they can be, you know, um, a catalyst for us, and sometimes that catalyst is not always the most like kind of positive circumstances.
You know,
And uh, sometimes that person can be in your life, and then they can like be out, but they have like such like important influence, and they make an impact as to, maybe you're on your path there, and then you veer off a little bit, and then your soulmate comes back to like, put you back on your path,
right.
you know
One
um
way or another,
one way
right?
or another. Yeah.
And those can come in relationships. Well, for example, so when you talk about catalysts, I was going to school for acupuncture. I had an interest in hypnosis for years. We talked about this years ago, and read a lot of books, and then I went and took this hypnosis course with Mr. Sutphin, and it changed my entire path again. To
Mhm.
me, that was a catalyst that lasted for years. I mean, it was not what I expected to do at all.
Yeah.
Uh, and in relationships, people sometimes things happen in relationships, and people veer off path or do whatever, or they're not accomplishing what they need to accomplish, and someone irresistible comes into their life, and maybe it's not meant to be forever, but it shakes them up enough that they exit whatever it is that they're in at the time.
Hmm.
And I see that a lot. Um, so catalysts can play many roles. And then there are some people who come in and out of our lives for years, but they're always just kind of there in the background, and you can pick up, like we just talked yesterday, and it's been 20 years, and those are soulmates too.
Yeah.
And then there are those that we just have that undeniable tie with. That it's a very intuitive, spiritual, uh, I don't know, mutual connection. A person you just jive with, whether it's your best friend or your mate or a sister or a brother or whoever it is.
As a psychic, do you see that as like a frequency? Do you see it like just where there's a certain frequency that you can just like um kind of dial in and just tune in to that person?
Yeah, I see it two ways. So if you look at things through the facet of frequency, we talked about the diamond and the many facets. So if we're looking at things through the facet of frequency, I always tell people who live together, mates, whatever, they're like, "Oh, we're soulmates. We end each other's sentences. We think the same thing. He says it while I'm thinking it." And I have to explain to them, well, the reason this is occurring is, and I have to explain the frequencies in their mind. And because when you're in the vicinity of someone, you begin to calibrate or level out at the same frequency when you're around someone long enough. That's why you have to be very careful about who you surround yourself with, because if they're resonating at a lower frequency all the time, guess what? Frequency does matter. Frequency is energy. And so there's that kind of thing. But then there is that undeniable, that connection that two people just have, that where two people merge in life for whatever reason that is to divine and meant to happen. It was supposed to happen that way. The undeniable thing that was supposed to come in just the right way and just the right time for just the right purpose. And that doesn't have to do so much to me with frequency as it does getting you on your right frequency and getting you to where you need to be. So we can adjust our frequencies to anything and to anyone. And whatever frequency you're resonating in, you're going to attract more experiences and things in that wavelength, in that frequency. When you raise your vibration and your frequency, you're going to attract those more spiritual, higher level, better things.
Yeah.
But in a relationship with frequency, that of course people, if you live with someone, you can end their sentences, do this, do that, because it's natural for souls and energies to align and connect in any room. I mean, have you been in a room full of people where everybody's happy, having a good time, and all of a sudden someone walks in and they're just angry, and everyone in the room turns around and looks at that person and can feel it? And what does it do? Excuse me again.
It can make it where it's like brings down the vibe.
Brings down the entire vibe. Vibes are real things.
Yeah.
Energy and frequency is real. They don't teach energetics in school, and energetics are so important to understand because it explains the things we attract, the things we do, and the connections we have with other people. We are energetic beings. And I could just go on for days about it. I love the topic of energy and different frequencies and how to raise and lower your frequency or vibration. That's what we do in hypnosis, isn't it?
It's what we do in hypnosis. It's what we do like when I'm reading tarot.
Yeah.
It's matching a frequency so that the words that come out of my mouth will be ones that can be understood by the querent. So that you're not like talking above someone, you're not talking beneath them. You are having a dialogue. You're building rapport, a communication with someone, so that that hopefully what you're saying can resonate with them to either be a catalyst if they are looking for answers, if they're in a situation that's difficult, where you can be a guide. And that is like the goal of a good psychic and all, is to have guiding words that that match the situation and match the person. It's like you can't expect someone to who is at this level to then just kind of like jump to another level in their actions and all that to be someone that they're not. And so that's being able to be in that vibration, match someone. It's really important.
Right. To be a beacon of light, to shine a little light on that path ahead that maybe they can't see right now.
Yeah.
And to make sure it's positive. When I teach hypnosis, I talk about energy and frequency and just that. But I talk about if you gauge people on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a very depressed, low, energetic, not a happy person level, and 10 being very manic, bouncing off the walls, hyper excited, anxious type level. Most people who come into our office or my office, usually are somewhere between a 2 and a 6 or so. Mm-hmm. But the objective is, it's not my job to take them from a 2 to a 10, right? But the objective in my office is to make sure that they leave my office always 1 to 2 higher than they came in,
Yeah.
always feeling that much better. Because you can't change someone's whole life in a short amount of time, but you can definitely raise their vibration and frequency and their energy and their anticipation and ability to foresee the future in a more positive way. And plus, you know, in hypnosis, we release endorphins too. They don't know why, but we do release a little dopamine. So they always get that little jolt in the butt too. And so, guaranteed, when everybody leaves a hypnotherapist's office, and should be a psychics as well, because you are a hypnotherapist, right?
Mhm.
Psychics are hypnotists. They just do things a little differently.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody should walk out of your space feeling a lot better than they did when they came in. That's our job.
Yeah. No, I know that, you know, from my experience that, you know, the vast majority of people that come to see me are not going, my life is great.
Yeah,
You know, tell
right.
me otherwise. It's like, oh my God, you'll never believe what happened. You know, it's more that, that energy. How can people like, it's like you are a beacon of light out in the world, Shannon Feather. How can
Thank
people
you.
contact you?
My website is joplinhypnosis.com. I am located in the Midwest now. So JOPLAN hypnosis.com, and that is my Facebook page as well.
Hmm.
Feather is my real name, my maiden name, the name I was born with, Shannon Feather. It's easy to remember. And yes, you will find a California number on my website, as I was there 15 years and I've had that number for a long time, so I keep it. But I am here in Missouri. I see people everywhere there. Doesn't matter where you're at. And I teach hypnosis too, Jason. So
And you have any offerings online, or anything that will be coming up?
I
Well,
haven't set any dates, waiting to see what's going to happen. This is usually the time of year I'm teaching right now in the spring.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I usually teach in New Jersey and then here in Missouri and wherever else people ask me to go. I was supposed to be in Vancouver, BC last year, but they had an issue out there in the spring and early summer. So I kind of have to wait and see uh, when things are going to lift. If things don't lift soon enough, I'll start teaching online. Life has to go on, and people have to go on and continue to learn and further their lives, even if it's virtually now. So definitely something will be set up soon. I'm going to give it another week or so and see what happens. But if anybody's interested, they're free to contact me. I do individual trainings as well. Not an issue. I don't have to have a whole class.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for talking with me
Thank you
today.
so much for having me. It's so nice to see you.
JoplinHypnosis.com, Shannon Feather.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Blessings to you.
Blessings to you.